Manchester City 2, Bournemouth 1, and we are through to the semi-finals of the FA Cup, and that is a massive second half performance, a tale of two halves, really. I mean, the first half was so poor, what you would call a typical Manchester City performance this season, but the second half, we actually turned up. Nico O'Reilly, the superstar young talent, absolutely carries us through to the semi-finals of the FA Cup. I mean, wow. The intensity as well was one thing. I mean, it wasn't just Nico O'Reilly. The way that we played in that second half, yes, of course, it wasn't us at our best, but it just looked like we actually cared. We actually looked like we were in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. So many times this season, we've seen this Manchester City side turn up to really important games. Real Madrid in the Champions League, and just look like we're in a Sunday league game. It looks like the players are just strolling around the park. Nothing's on the line. They turned up in the second half, and that was massive for us. We obviously have to talk about the first half, though. Let's get straight into it. Matheus Nunes, he's not a right back. Let's be completely honest. He just cannot play that position. I do not know why Pep continues to play Matheus Nunes at right back. Yes, on the ball, he can look good at times. You know, he's got a good pass on him. He can cross the ball into the box. Wow, he's a midfielder, but he can't defend. He can't play in a right-back role. Whenever he's asked to do any defensive work, he just doesn't know what he's doing. And we saw that for the first goal for Bournemouth today. He gives the ball away terribly through the middle of the pitch, a wild ball. I mean, I do not know who he was even passing to. Straight to a Bournemouth player. The ball comes in the box. Matheus Nunes gets himself back into a defensive position and then loses his man. Completely loses his man at the back post. It comes back across the face of the goal. Evan Nilsson sends himself, the ball, and I think it was Kusanov into the back of the net. And it was just really poor. And obviously, Matheus Nunes, once again, costing us this season. And I don't want to, pile in on him because he's not a right back. But why we are continuing to persist with him at right back just blows my mind, if I'm honest. But let's be real. Matheus Nunes was not the only culprit. That was a really poor first half performance from the entire squad. I don't think there was really anyone who stood out in that first half where you could say, oh, he had a decent performance. Because I think they were all rubbish, if I'm completely honest. I thought passing through the midfield, we were absolutely dreadful. I mean, we literally could not string a couple of passes together in there. And yet we, for some reason, wanted to condense our midfield. We had Phil Foden, essentially. We had Kevin De Bruyne. We had Mateo Kovacic. We had Bernardo Silva. We had no width. And it was just, I don't know what we were actually trying to do, but we changed it in the second half. Defensively, I thought we were making a lot of errors. That was that moment where Diaz tries to, instead of trying to head the ball back to Ederson, he just kicks it. For some reason, puts Ederson under unnecessary pressure. Moments like Kusanov trying to shield the ball out, then giving away a corner. Ederson as well, when there was a free kick, punches it instead of just catching it very, very calmly. There were just bizarre issues that we've seen week in, week out from this Manchester City squad where we're just making errors that we don't need to be making, errors that we weren't seeing in previous seasons from these exact same players. So once again, that was a worrying sight, but obviously in the second half we improved. Erling Haaland, we got to talk about those chances because he had to tuck one of them away. The first one, I have a little bit of sympathy for him. The ball comes in from Matheus Nunes. It's not the greatest angle, if I'm being honest. He's kind of got to redirect the header, get all the power through it, redirect it, all of that type of stuff. I think it wasn't the greatest chance for him. But that second one, the penalty, it was a clear penalty. Erling Haaland's got to dispatch that. He's got a poor record as of recent from penalties. He missed it. And it was a poor penalty, if we're being honest. He kind of scuffs the ball. Kepa Arrizabalaga makes a pretty comfortable save with it. But then the third one, I was just expecting the ball to hit the back of the net. He goes through with a little bit of fortune, through on goal, and completely miscues his chip. He tries to dink the goalkeeper. There's a little boggle off the ground before he hits it. But at the end of the day, out of those three chances, you've got to be finishing at least one of them if your name's Erling Haaland. Yeah, it was poor. But there were just so many issues in that first half. The second half, however, Pep Guardiola made a difference. There was a couple of tactical changes. I think we used the width a little bit more, which we had to. And it looked like, at first, a really bizarre decision to take Kusanov off and bring Nico O'Reilly in. But it changed the game. Nico O'Reilly comes in at left back. Gvardiol goes into centre back. And Nico O'Reilly single-handedly changed the outcome of this match. What a special talent he is. Bombing down the pitch, getting in around that area, putting a wonderful ball in behind for Erling Haaland where he could not miss. The ball was spectacular. And he is just such such a talent. I mean, yes, of course, he's got the attacking side of the game. He's obviously a midfielder. That's where he's come through the academy from. But I was really impressed from the defensive efforts as well. I mean, against Semenyo, we've seen him in other FA Cup games against lower oppositions play defensively well, but against Semenyo, who's a very highly rated winger in the Premier League, he really locked him down in that second half and did not give him a sniff. So I thought from a defensive and from an offensive standpoint, Nico O'Reilly was absolutely magnificent today. And to be honest, I thought Grealish came on. I thought he impacted the game really well, but there was a lift in the entire squad. I think Pep Guardiola really must have got into them at halftime because there was more intensity about them. They actually looked like they were in the quarterfinal of the FA Cup, 1-0 down. They had to go and win the game. And it was refreshing to see, but we need to see it consistently over 90 minutes. That is the one thing that I will say. We've seen these kind of first half, second half performances change drastically. We need to see it on a consistent basis for the rest of the season. But yeah, I thought the second half was really impressive. Obviously, we got to talk about the Erling Haaland injury. Really, really disappointing, obviously. Really unfortunate for Haaland picking up that injury. I think it was to his ankle. Looked like he was in a lot of discomfort. He really tried to carry on, but he just could not put any weight on that ankle. And look, it's worrying, of course. We've got a lot to fight for the rest of the season. We're looking to try and get Champions League in the Premier League, which is going to be a tough task, as well as winning the FA Cup, which again is going to be a tough task. So there's plenty to still fight for in the season. And with Erling Haaland going down injured like that, in quite a lot of discomfort, it's a little bit worrying. But obviously, we've got Omar Marmoush, who steps up for the second goal. Another great piece of play from Nico O'Reilly to slip the ball into the path of Omar Marmoush. It's not actually the greatest of finishes, but Kepa Arrizabalaga, it goes past him. Poor goalkeeping, if we're being honest, but Marmoush just has those predatory instincts. He is a finisher. He is someone who's going to get into those positions, score goals, and I think it's going to be massive between now and the end of the season, having someone else other than Erling Haaland who can pop up, score goals. He almost got a second as well with that headed chance. So I'm really impressed by Omar Marmoush. There's a couple of moments where I thought maybe he could have pressed a little bit more, showed a little bit more intensity, but overall, impressed by Omar Marmoush, impressed by a lot of the squad in the second half. I thought most of them played well. De Bruyne also put in quite a lot of effort. So really, really happy with the second half performance. But as I said, we need to show it consistently over 90 minutes. And yeah, we're through to the FA Cup semi-finals. Massive performance. But moving on to the player ratings for today, we're going to be starting off in goal with Ederson. I'm going to give him a 5. I don't think he was great today. He didn't have too much to do outside of the goals. There was that one moment where it was really bizarre to me. The ball gets shot at him, really comfortable strike from a free kick. I think it was Kluivert that took the free kick, and it falls to Ederson, and for some bizarre reason, instead of just catching it comfortably, he punches it, like erratically punches it. And it just puts the back line under so much unnecessary pressure and stuff like that. I really do not like from a goalkeeper. So for me, I'm going to give Ederson a 5 today. For Matheus Nunes, I'm going to give him a 3. I don't want to keep going on about Matheus Nunes, but I just do not think he's a right back. Obviously, gave the ball away for the goal, then lost his man as well for the goal. So really, really poor. Just defensively, he's not a right back. I'm just going to continue to say it. It's centre back. I'm going to give Kusanov and Diaz both a 6. Had a couple of, worrying moments, which I think I kind of said earlier in the video. But overall, I don't think they were bad. I thought they were decent. So I'm going to give them a 6. Then at left back for Gvardiol, I actually thought he was probably the best out of the back line today. Gvardiol, I'm going to give him a 7. Even when he moved into the centre back role, I thought he played quite well, made a couple of good challenges. Obviously, we know the quality of him on the ball. I don't think he was spectacular, but I thought he was solid today. And then moving into the midfield, Kovacic for me, I'm going to give him a 6. I don't think he really impacted the game. As I said, in the first half specifically, the midfield just was so poor, giving the ball away. But I thought in the second half, Mateo Kovacic kind of stepped it up a little bit as well. Bernardo Silva, I'm going to give him a 6. I was thinking about giving him a 5, but I think just in the second half, he kind of got away with it. Again, I just find Bernardo Silva a frustrating player to watch at the moment. He passes the ball back a little bit too much for me. There's a couple of moments where he could have passed the ball forward. He decides to go back, pass it sideways or backwards. It's frustrating to watch at times, but I do think overall in the game today, especially as we were trying to wind down the clock, he was all right. Kevin De Bruyne, I'm going to give a 7. I know he didn't create many chances today. I don't know if he was really at his best, but I like the intensity, and that was one thing that I think has been missing from Kevin De Bruyne a lot this season. I think back to the Real Madrid game is the glaring example of where he was just completely absent from the game. There was no intensity from him. He just looked unfit, not ready to play against Real Madrid. In the game today, I thought while he didn't create that much, while he wasn't at his best, he was involved in the game. He had a few touches. I think towards the end of the game, he really helped control the game down. And I thought his pressing off the ball was quite good as well. So I'm going to give him a 7. Then Foden. I'm going to give him a 5. I don't think he was impressive at all today. I really want Foden to do well because he's under a lot of pressure right now. And I almost wanted to give him a 6, but I don't want to give him a sympathy vote. I want to give him his real rating. So for me, I'm going to give him a 5. I just do not think he impacted the game. There were a couple moments where he got into good positions, kind of wasted them a little bit. And then obviously got replaced in the second half. I don't think he was that great today. And then for Erling Haaland, I'm going to give him a 7. Obviously, he got the equaliser today. It was a quite relatively easy finish at the back post, but he has to be there to put the ball in the back of the net. And that's the thing I like about Erling Haaland. He's always in those positions. He's always looking to try and score goals. But it didn't really work out for him, specifically in the first half. That second half goal really saved him, to be honest, from getting a lower rating than the 7. So, yeah, those chances are a bit of a knock on his rating. I don't think he had the greatest game today. But, yeah, of course, hopefully he's not injured for too long. Hopefully he can be back in the lineup soon to help us go and kick on for the rest of the season. But then moving into the substitutes, and we are starting off with the boy from today, the man of the match, Nico O'Reilly. I mean, wow. I'm going to give him a 10. I thought he was superb. In 45 minutes, you know what? No, scratch that. Within 5 minutes, he did more than everyone else in the first 45 minutes of the game. He was absolutely superb. The 2 assists that he got, I'm really happy for him. I think that he's probably deserved a few more minutes in this Manchester City side this season, especially where we've been struggling. And I'm happy that he was able to get his moment in a relatively big game. And hopefully, as I said before, hopefully Pep Guardiola gives him the minutes now towards now and the end of the season, because I just do not want to see... I don't want to see him get, frustrated with his game time. I don't want to see him have to go out on loan, or worst case scenario, get picked up by a club like Chelsea or something like that, who were in for him in January. So hopefully this can be the start of O'Reilly getting regular minutes in the Manchester City side. But moving on to Marmoush, I'm going to give him a 7. I think he was good when he came on. He obviously got the goal. He had that other chance. And I thought obviously he adds a good threat. He's a positive. He always wants to run in behind. He always wants to get strikes off on goal. So I'm really happy with Marmoush, but yeah, I thought 7 probably is a fair rating. And then for Jack Grealish, I'm going to give a 7. I thought he came on and did some good things when he played. I really like the way he carries the ball. Obviously, in these type of games, when you're defending a league, when you're trying to drag out the minutes, Jack Grealish is a perfect type of player to bring on. He is so strong on the ball, carries it so well, brings you up the pitch, and retains possession really, really well. The one thing that I do think is missing from his game, which it was quite frustrating to see at one point, he cuts in on his right foot and he has a perfect opportunity to just go for that whip in the far corner, and he turns it down and decides to pass the ball on, which is a little bit frustrating. I want to see Jack Grealish have a little bit more confidence about his game, and that is what the issue is. It's confidence. He needs to get a little bit more confidence, a few more minutes maybe, and maybe he might start trying to hit those, but hopefully Jack Grealish can get back to his best for us. But yeah, he's got a lot of competition at the moment, so it's going to be tough for him. And then for Nico Gonzalez, I'm going to give him a 6. I don't know why he didn't start today. When I looked at the lineup, I was perplexed why Nico Gonzalez was not in the lineup, because he gives us the most amount of stability in the midfield. He's also probably got the most legs out of any of the players we've got in the midfield. And he might be, outside of, Kevin De Bruyne, the best passer going forward in the midfield. So for me, it was a little bit bizarre why we didn't start him. He didn't really have too many minutes on the pitch to be able to impact the game, but I thought he did decently well while he was on, so I'm going to give him a 6. And then for James McAtee, I'm going to give him a 6 as well. He came on, again, not with that many minutes in the game. He had that golden opportunity to go and put us 3-1 up. He hits it straight at the goalkeeper. It falls to him. He should have done better with the chance, if we're being honest. But yeah, obviously, James McAtee, he's always positive when he comes on. He's always trying to get into goal-scoring opportunities. So yeah, I was pleased with the substitutes. I thought they all came on and made an impact on the game. But yeah, that was my match reaction and my player ratings for Manchester City 2, Bournemouth 1 in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. I am so happy we are through to the semi-finals. Honestly, I could not have taken having 2 weeks off of a dead international break to then come back and watch us get knocked out of the FA Cup. That would have just not been pleasant whatsoever. But we managed to come through. Nico O'Reilly is an absolute superstar in the making. And yeah, let me know what you guys thought of the game below. Please also drop some comments about maybe some content ideas. If you have any ideas, things you want to see from me. I'm going to be trying to push as much content as possible. Manchester City content, Premier League content, maybe even some Championship content and stuff like that as well. So thank you so much for tuning into the video. Please subscribe if you do enjoy the content. If you want me to keep making more, drop a like as well. All of that good stuff. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you so much. Peace.